Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Funk Lounge Talk Theater. This is episode 6. And here at the Funk Lounge Talk Theater, we talk about music, we talk about culture, we talk about variations of things. And the whole concept of this show is to have people that have brilliant minds that you normally don't hear about because we live in a world of everybody has a podcast, everybody has an opinion, information highway is off the chain. But a lot of people are talking loud and they ain't saying nothing. And that's why, without arrogance, but pure confidence in history and knowledge, we come to you how we come to you because we've been there, we have done that. Okay? A lot of people read about history, but there's some people that made some history. And that's my special guest this evening. If you were born after 1989 and you didn't know what came before you, if you were born uh, after 89. You had no idea. But if you were born before 1989, you never thought about Black Laugh. Black Laugh is very, very deep. Black Laugh is funny. Black Laugh is personal. Black Laugh is us. Many other people, other folks in other cultures laughed at us, and many laughed with us. Black Laugh is deep on many, many levels. Black Laugh ain't no joke. Black Laugh has hurt, pain, drama. Where do we go to vent when we want to laugh? You know, back in the day in the 80s, man, there were only 3 comedians that represented Black Laugh. And that was Richard Pryor, Dr. Bill Cosby, and Eddie Murphy. And maybe Red Fox, maybe, it depends. But the major 3 that was the antidote for us was Richard Pryor, Dr. Bill Cosby, and Eddie Murphy. And that wasn't by us. That was a formula that came out of the white clubs, the white comedy clubs. You know, in order for you to be a black comedian to make it to another level, to within yourself, you had to go to a white comedy club. You know, to get it out, which is great. No problem, not a problem with that. The white comedy clubs were fantastic. It gives you structure. You're able to be around other cultures and work your brain. You know, you step outside the box. You know, being a novelty, being us, being a Negro, a nigger, whatever the case. But you're able to go to other cultures, especially at a white club, and be at your best. But still, you're not totally you because you're performing on the surface. Again, where did we go to vent and laugh? As a culture, as a black people, we always had nightclubs when it comes to dancing, when it comes to our feet and our body, and going to check out the band. You know, we're music people, always dancing. You know, but when it came to laugh, we never had a comedy club that we can call our own. White people had it, the Punchline, the Funny Bone, the Laugh Factory, the Comedy Store. You know, the Punchline was a big franchise in the South, man. You know, a lot of comedy clubs, a lot of history, man. A lot of laughter back in the 80s. A lot of comedy clubs. But when it came to a black comedy club, didn't happen. There was no such thing. That's why I said if you were born after 1989, you were born in it. You don't know what came before it. You don't know what came before it. But if you were born before 1989, you never thought about it because as a people, it's about nightclub, dance, and music. That's how we are. We got to satisfy the feet on the dance floor. But when it came to a comedy club, we didn't have that. Uh, when I was doing my thing in the late 80s, when I was in New Jersey, I hooked up with Mr. Bob Sumner. I was with him at the beginning. I was before Bill Bellamy. I was before Bill Bellamy. I was good looking. I had it going on. I was cute and I was ready. But that wasn't my thing. But I was with Bob Sumner for a minute. A lot of great comedians. Then Bill Bellamy came after that. Then Willie Asbury was up there. New Jersey has a great comedy crew up there back in the 80s, man. Good, funny people. Good, great people. Now, in California, baby, there was this dude named Michael Williams. Michael Williams. He had the first black comedy club of its kind down Regency West on Crenshaw. And this guy coming on the microphone, man, is an element. He's a Bible. He was there when it was happening. He's part of the creation. A lot of people have not heard about this guy, but you probably seen him on Def Jam. You probably checked him out on Living Single when he did a guest spot with Mr. John Hinton, a popular comedian. This dude, man, he was there part of the Elements. There was a guy named Robin Harris, and that was Michael Williams' hook. See, Bob Sumner didn't have a hook. Bob Sumner was doing comedy clubs and what I mean, no, he was booking, nightclubs doing comedy. He a promoter getting this thing going, but he didn't have that guy. See, Bill Bellamy wasn't really his guy. Bob didn't have a guy, but Michael Williams had a guy. He had a guy that was that doggone Robin Harris. And because of Robin Harris, that whole concept was able to Pied Piper other black comedians to find their funny, and this is one of them. Ladies and gentlemen, my heart, my brother, man, I'm glad he's around. I'm glad he's living. Mr. Chris Charles. Chris Charles, how you doing, bro?
Well, I'm doing, man. I'm doing. That was a great intro, man. I don't know if I can follow that, but I'll do my best.
No, bro, no. Hey, I set it up for you because I know you. I know what you about to do. Hey man, before we get into the Chris Charles story, man. I have cried over this guy a couple of days, man. Over 60, I get emotional because I think about the best times. I cry a lot. I'm like a little girl named Blanche. I I cry because I didn't cry back in the day, but now I'm catching up. Oh, when I heard this guy's voice, I lost it. Chris, before we get into this conversation, man, tell us about what's going on with your voice so our listeners will know what's going on with you.
Uh, my voice will tend to it goes in and out right now. It may get a little raspy. You may have a problem comprehending my articulation because about 5 years ago, 2018, 19, I unfortunately woke up from a coma that I had been in and out of for about 4 months, and an additional 1 or 2 months. I still had to be on life support even after I came out of the coma because I wasn't capable of breathing on my own. And which is amazing in itself that I'm even alive, because one of the things that kill a lot of people that come out of comas is that if you're not off if they don't take that tube out of you before too long, it's just it's a one-way street. And I had that tube in me for a long time, longer than the norm, but I survived it. But it did do some damage to my vocal cords and my larynx. I've seen 2 specialists, and they said I need to have surgery, and I'm going to see a surgeon about that in a month, which is one of the reasons I thought about it. It's been presented to me to come back, and not to say that I wouldn't try to do some things on stage, but it wouldn't be an apropos time now because I just seriously literally don't have the voice for it. I just don't have the voice for it until I get some things in order, until I have surgery and see. And I may never be able to. I became a minister and I preached. I had my call and I came there, and so I ended up in Arizona. And I had to stop preaching because of my voice. I wasn't able to elevate my voice any longer. And for that reason, I had to just seriously go into retirement as far as speaking of any kind, ministering or anything. I just had to stop, put it all on hold. And that's pretty much what's been going on with me up until I saw a little thing on TV talking about black comedy and its roots. They just did a special not too long ago on CNN about humor, but from a white perspective, and it left a lot to be desired as far as what they covered in black humor, but that's to be understood. It's for us to discuss us. And so that made me seek out Michael Williams, like you was talking about, just to see, because unfortunately, I do have a lot of history. I do have a lot to say. I had a lot to do with the comedy explosion in the late '80s and early '90s. I was a part of that foundation.
Chris, hold on. Chris, hold on. Let me introduce you the right way to people because you're talking. But let me say this, please, for you. I have to. Thank God in the universe that you are living and you are here and you are talking, brother.
Yeah.
Because you are determined to talk. I mean, you're like Buster Rhymes in prison trying to get those words out, bro. you and you you you're gonna talk. I mean, you're gonna talk. And I talked to my nephew, if you don't mind me calling him that, Michael Jr.
Oh, okay.
Your
Okay.
grandson.
Yeah.
Man, let me tell you,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about that young man, but I think he's going to continue your work.
Oh well, I don't know if I have another son named Jordan
Mm, 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 mm.
that I just found out Father's Day that he's actually contemplating seriously stepping on stage
See,
and doing stand up.
you
And
said contemplate.
if you were to meet Jordan,
Mm.
it would never occur to you. It would be like this guy's a Dexter. He's a Poindexter. He's a nerd.
Well, that's the
You
best
know,
ones. Those are the best.
you
We
would
need those.
never see him do a stand up, but he is going to. He was grilling me and asking me some questions. Well, how, did you take notes and what kind of paper did you write on it? What kind of pen? And I'm like, George, be honest with me. You've been snooping around this whole comedy thing now for a
Mm.
couple of years. He started a couple of years ago. He started going to comedy clubs by himself.
How old is he?
You know,
How old is he?
Jordan is 22.
Oh,
He
okay,
started
nice.
going to comedy clubs every 2 nights, and he just said he was doing it because he just for his own enjoyment by himself. I kind of had a feeling then that something was up because I remember doing that. I remember when I first started, one of the things I did was I started going doing my little personal research by going to comedy clubs and seeing what the audience was like, seeing what it was like being a stand-up comedian before I stepped in that arena.
Okay, but
I
hold on,
was
Chris. Let's get a blueprint of you before we go there. Let's get a blueprint. Okay,
okay.
first of all, where are you from?
I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. Same place Robin Harris is from.
Wow. And let me when you're born in the early 60s. Who cracked you up? Who made you laugh and who made you say I want to do this? Now I'm going to beat you to the punch. Was it George Carlin?
Oh, actually, man, you know what? George Carlin and Freddie Prince.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't come up in the '70s with comedy and not have tasted Richard Pryor. You either loved him or you love to hate him
Right.
because he was so dirty. He was poetic at it.
Right.
You know, and to date, he's the only comedian
Mm-hmm.
that has gotten away with that.
Yes.
And that's that. He'll go down in history. That's his niche. Nobody will ever touch that.
No. That's what I call it comedy theater, Chris. I don't call it regular stand up.
Right. You know, oh yeah, he was the first to bring the theater.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, but you know, I also like I can't think of the man's name. He got people like Dick Gregory started. He was a white comedian. He was
You
ostracized.
talking about Mort Saul, Lenny Bruce?
Lenny Bruce. I
Okay.
dug Lenny Bruce.
Okay.
I did my research, but I grew up on watching Flip Wilson on TV and laughing at him and the Jodine annex. Now I'm gonna be real. I never was a fan of black men being women. I never dug that concept. You know,
A black man what now?
doing drag.
Okay.
And one of the things I think that shot me in the foot early in my career, my manager took me to meet a bigwig in Hollywood, and he asked me, well, what do you see yourself doing? And instead of answering that question, I said, well, the sky's the limit, but what I don't see myself doing, and I told him I didn't see myself ever putting on a wig and pretending to be a woman because there was enough women to hire to do that. Why should I pretend to be something I'm not? Other than, you know,
So wait, tell you to get the hell out of the damn office, get the hell out of here when you said that?
no, but you could tell the enthusiasm left the room.
Right.
For me. It was, oh, by the way, I have another meeting. Yeah. Yeah. So that was it for that, you know, that shot. You
Okay,
know,
so okay.
I watched my manager just shrink like Fred Flintstone used to do with his boss. I watched him just shrink when I started opening my mouth because she knew, oh, well, he sunk this ship.
Well,
But that was
Chris.
back when Jamie Foxx first started doing. I think the character was Wanda on Living
Yeah,
Color,
then you got
and
Shanae Martin Lawrence.
Shanae and all of that. And I
And then
just
don't forget, you remember, hey, you remember that comedian from New Jersey by the name of Derek Fox?
yeah, I remember that.
Well, cause Martin kind of bit that Shanae from Derek. Derek,
He did.
right,
Yeah,
right, right,
but
right, right.
yeah.
See, let me,
Uh-huh.
ladies and gentlemen, again, this is the.
Matter of fact, they was thinking about hiring him to do that character or
Mhm.
Martin. And Martin was like, "Nope, I want to do it.
Right. Right. Ladies and
I want to
gentlemen,
do it."
hold on, Chris. I got to give people some science here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Funk Lounge Talk Theater and Variation. This is the comedy special. This is my main man, Mr. Chris Charles. You hear this guy talking right now? He's speaking facts. This guy was behind the scenes. He was on Def Jam. If you remember, if some of y'all seen Def Jam back in the 90s, there was a guy, big, tall, good-looking dude wearing a hat. He looking all happy looking, talking about, ah, yeah. That's Chris Charles. That's Chris. That, hey, Chris.
Niggas
Okay.
happy.
You,
I was happy, all
you
right.
looking all happy. You looking all happy and gracious.
I was happy, all
Yeah,
right.
man, man, you are. I used to. You know what? I don't know what it is about you. I used to love to watch you enjoy comedy, even in the most dangerous way. You off the you are like a machete, and you love what you're talking about. You have a joy in your stuff. But before I get deep into that, so you're inspired by George Carlin, and you said Richard Pryor, those elements.
Richard Pryor,
Okay, so
yeah.
you got older. So when did you go to L.A.? When did you go to California?
I went to California. I went to New York first in the early, it was the mid '80s, and then transitioned from there.
Now, I mean,
Um,
how was that in New York for you? Because I think New York is a good vibe for you. Where did you go? Now, where was your comedy at when you were in New
well,
York?
I dropped out. Let me, the whole of it is I dropped out of college. I went to the University of Wisconsin, Whitewater, Wisconsin, and I dropped out of school. I remember contemplating going to school, back to school, but I had this dream about doing comedy. At that time Eddie Murphy was just hot, and I was like, wow, I just something said I can do that.
Right.
And they had this audition for this show called Crime Story. And they did a cattle call, open call, just anybody.
You talking about produced by Michael Mann?
Michael Mann, he came on
Okay.
after
Okay.
Miami Vice,
Yes,
and
sir.
I went to that cattle call, and I prayed, and I made a bet. I said, well, if I get that call back to come do this part, and it was just an extra role. It wasn't nothing speaking, nothing that I was gonna get after a SAG with. It was just a little extra part. But for me, that was, from my neighborhood to actually being on TV was the first step in the dream.
Mm.
So I did the audition. Weeks went by. I thought to myself, I'm not going to get it. So I was making preparations to go back to school when the phone rang. And they, called me and told me that I had gotten the part. Be on set, blah, 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 blah. And that was it. I was bit by the showbiz bug. And from there, I moved to New York to study because I didn't know what to do. But I had a drama teacher. I was taking drama lessons in Chicago. They had moved to New York, and so I followed her lead. I knew that if you wanted to be on stage, where that started in New York. So I just moved to New York. I didn't know anybody. I hurt my parents. At the time, my father then he sat on the porch across the street at a neighbor's house. Then he said bye to me as I was getting in the car to leave, and. At the time, I didn't understand it, but looking back on it, having been a parent now myself, I can understand how I let him down because of the investment that he made in me. And he was so proud of me going to school because at the time I was majoring in pre-med. I went to pre-med courses. I wanted to be a doctor. And to go from
I remember that.
to go from that to he's dropping out of school and moving to New York to study what? But that was before comedy was even in the picture. It was acting. It was improv. And because I'm gonna tell you what I was almost as much of a fan of this stand-up comedy. I was bit by the Saturday night Live bug of the set. John Belushi, that whole improv, and I'm from Chicago, so I used to watch Second City late at night on Fridays,
Man, let me
and
hold on,
I
Chris.
love that. I love the Canadian humor
Chris,
that
hold on,
came out of the
Chris,
yeah.
hold on, because hold on, I gotta come in with you. People, you have to understand. There was what Saturday Night Live, but then that dog on Second City with John Candy and that crew.
Man, it was
Hey man,
crazy.
that was you. That was they were doing some before they were like doing Jim Carrey before Jim Carrey was doing Jim Carrey.
Well, European comedy, and that came from Canada. Canadians,
Right,
they
that's
have a
right.
sense of humor,
Yes.
but let me go back farther than that.
Wow.
I, I, I used to sit up and watch Monty Python,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
that's what had
and,
me
and,
rolling.
and Benny
And I'm
Hill
like,
and Benny Hill.
man, Benny Hill, forget about it. Forget about it. When he was slapping a little bald head dude on the head, oh, that was it.
Chris,
I
Chris,
had just
Chris,
something about
Chris, hold on. I got
seeing him
Chris, hold on.
getting laughter. I
Chris,
had to do it. I had to follow it.
Chris, hold on. See, you can't do this to me. And I can't. I have to respond. This is the same thing happens on Funk Talk Theater when I'm talking to Lamar Webster, Doug Ramsey. I get excited, so I got to come in and say something. People, you have to understand what this wonderful man is saying, Chris Charles. Here's what Chris was saying. If you're like, let's say 16 on up, okay, and you are a young person in your time, you got Benny Hill, you got Monty Python, you got John Cleese, you got like off the wall humor that's nurturing you. I mean, there's no filters, and it's safe. I mean, we don't have the PC movement. It's off the damn
All
hook.
the same.
It's off the right, but it's able to add to the freestyle within us. Am I right, Chris?
Yeah, yeah. Um, one of the singles, my whole the ignition behind me getting into stand up was forged by different moments that propelled me. And I remember listening to Richard Pryor. Back then they called them party albums,
Right. That's right.
and we had to sneak and listen to them because that was rated X.
Right.
Right.
That's
Back
right.
in the day,
Right.
it was only when our parents listened to it. That Nigga's Crazy was his first breakout album,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But when he did Bicentennial Nigga,
Classic.
but what got me was at the end when he didn't tell a joke to end on. He ended on a serious note about history and what America truly did to the black man, and how he was never gonna forget. And that made more of an impact on me than any one particular joke or comedy moment.
Hold on,
The
Chris.
drama
Chris.
in it.
Chris. Hold on. This is deep. You're talking. Hold on, man. You are a total man. You are so good. Check this out. When you talked about that album with Richard Pryor, the kind of albums he was doing back then, like Is It Something I Said or that kind, he was doing some. Don't forget when he went through that transition when he was like going. Remember when he was going through that thing when he met the Black Panthers and when he met that guy that did Claude Brown who did Man Child. He was
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
he was hanging with poets. So what Richard was able to do, man, like you said, it was like it's like theater, it's like poetry, and it was rated X, but it wasn't really X. They said X back then, but it was really rated R.
It was rated R, right?
Right. It wasn't pornography words, you know.
No, it would be nothing today.
It'd be nothing today. It'd be nothing
compared
today.
to what they show on network
Oh, that'd
TV.
be
What
nothing. That'd be
you
rated.
know,
It'd be rated G.
it's so stuff like that, man, and they have this. If you're into Richard Pryor, they have this. The Improv came out with this kind of lost tape thing, where it was the first visual image of Richard Pryor when he just left the whole Bill Cosby, the whole
Persona.
the whole suit and tie,
Yeah,
skinny
yeah,
tie,
yeah.
Ed Sullivan
Right.
impressive joke. When he's so I'm not gonna shave, I'm gonna look like a monkey. When he finally said this is not me, and he was really making good money.
Well, George
Like
Carlin did the same thing, Chris. George Carlin did the same.
They said that Richard Pryor could have been even richer financially if he had stayed on that tip.
Right.
But And something in him was like, I gotta be real, something there. And when he made that transition and then went to the improv, and it was almost like this dude's not even a comedian. Who is he?
Right.
He started all over, and he wasn't afraid to experiment this. The whole art of comedy is not even around anymore. I looked at comedy, and the single thing that made me made me want to come back was like, what are they laughing at?
Right. Me too, Chris.
Half these cats take stools on stage and they don't even sit in them.
Chris, let me say
They're
something.
afraid because that's what moments were born. If sitting on that stool and letting it come to you as you went, and it's scary because it's quiet in the room, and then you just kind of talking, and that's when you free throwing. You go from the heart, and most of my act really I came up from just improv. It wasn't even the stuff that I wrote. It was stuff that came up in a moment, vibing off the people, like you said, just enjoying being on stage because I felt alive. And that was the difference in my comedy in Atlanta than in LA. In LA, I was doing the comedy to impress the powers to be, you know. But when I was in Atlanta and given the free range to just take it, I took it.
Let me explain to people what you're talking about, Chris, because keep in mind, this is a virgin show. It's a new show.
Well, I
And
know that you're going to fill in the blanks, so.
no, let me no. Well, you're talking about elements. Let me explain what you're talking about, Chris. This is very important. See, people that's listening, I mean, old school, new school, whoever you are, check out these biblical words. This fantastic human being, Mr. Chris Charles, is telling you. Hey, man, at that time when it came to this, what he's talking about with the Black Comedy Club and the concept, it's deep to be in the moment because it's about to happen. It's about to happen. And Chris, the more I listen to you talk about Richard Pryor and George Carlin, I'm gonna tell you, I watched you, and let me tell you how good you are. Cause I never told you this before. Keep in mind, this is our first time talking. I haven't seen you since 1996 when we did the show in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
last time. You and Ricky Smiley. That was a great show too. Great show.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something, man. Chris, man, I remember seeing you in California in 1989 at the Comedy Act when Robin Harris was emceeing.
Right.
Ronaldo Ray was in the audience. Hitman Hearns. It was a lot of celebrities in the audience, man. A lot of celebrities.
Yeah.
I was mind blown by that. This is a black comedy club. This ain't like Negro night. Then there's music. No, this
Oh,
is
the Comedy Act Theater was a magnet for attracting this black entertainment.
everything. But
Yeah.
let me tell people about you though, Chris.
Okay.
So, see, the comedy, like Chris said, I'm going to have Chris back at least 2 more times. We're going to be with him while he's getting his voice checked out. This is my brother to the show. He has to be, and I got to be with him. I got to be with this guy because this is my guy right here. Let me tell you something, man. When Chris came to one thing about LA is a given. It's a showcase place. Like he said, you got to impress the powers that be. But when you come outside of California, elsewhere, and do your skill, do your talent, that's where it counts. When the Comedy Act came to Atlanta, Georgia, you, Mr. Chris Charles, was able to bring yourself to Atlanta. And I saw you explode. I saw everything you're talking about. I saw the respect you had for Richard Pryor, Poetry Night, feeling the vibe, just being like a cool guy. Now let me ask you a question. They call you the chocolate hippie, right?
You gave me that nickname.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You gave me the nickname, Rex.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
So I would have my little shoulder bag that I'm going back to carrying. By the way, my leather hat that I would turn into a tam every now and then when I was being a Panther.
Yeah.
And I did 70s humor and woman jeans and jacket. And did my thing.
Chris, and let me say this real quick because this means so much to me. You're coming back on because we can do hours. Let me tell you, brother, in real life, I'm not a comedian. I'm a humorist, and I'm a good producer. Yeah. I'm a good producer. I'm better for other people than I am for myself, okay? I can see a comedian go, hey, why don't you do boom? That's what I'm good at. I'm good at that. That's what I was gonna. I was gonna work with comedy hype to do something, but that's been it's just not happening. I don't know what's up, but and I say it out there because they don't really know me. They don't really know me. And when you get people that don't really know you, they treat you a certain way when they don't know what you do. And I ain't mad at nobody. See, I'm an acquired taste. People really ain't got no movies of me, no film. I'm just word of mouth. I get
Right,
it, right. I get it. But when I know better, don't try to mess with my intelligence.
right, right.
Right. And so my point is this: I'm good at molding, helping. When Michael came with Mr. Chris Charles, when Michael Williams came to the Comedy Act to Atlanta in 1990, I told Michael in the office, I said, "Hey man, you can be Berry Gordy, I can be Smokey Robinson."
Okay,
He didn't pay me no mind because he was in his moment.
right.
Because he wasn't. Cause everybody came to him with something. Every comedian in the world came to Michael with something. But I knew the flavor of that club because when I saw that carpet, cause don't forget I was doing my funk stuff before the Comedy Act came.
Yeah,
So when I saw that carpet, I saw him. I said, "Uh oh, it just hit. It hit." I said, "I
yeah,
can do so much." And then when you came, I saw you had cause you're like a artsy George Carlin poetry. You have your own style about you, and it's like poetry and brutal comedy. And it's brutal. It's like Dave Chappelle, D.L. Hughley, but you have your own take on things. And you came
yeah.
and man, and too bad and too bad the Comedy Act, Chris, didn't survive because Chris Charles, can you imagine if the Comedy Act survived? Talk to me.
Well, back then, tell you the truth, I had more people trying to persuade me not to go in that direction as far as comedy was concerned because they said, well, you're going to scare off all the white people. And I'm like, well, so this is a black club. If they come, they come. If they come, they should come expecting to be picked on. And one of the things that really got me a lot of attention when I call white people niggas, or you would have thought that it was a revolutionary concept.
But you know who loved you? Jewish people.
I
I didn't say white people. I said Jewish
know.
people. Yeah, yeah.